If your name is Sam Kennedy, this might not be the video for you. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and this weekend was full of highlight level quotes from Red Sox ownership, and not in a positive way. You had quotes like Sam Kennedy trying to sell Red Sox fans on the experience that is Fenway Park. You had Sam Kennedy talking about how the payroll is most likely going to be lower this year than it was last year, despite the fact that last year was well below the first luxury tax threshold, and despite the fact that they talked about at the beginning of the offseason doing all these things to improve this team. But there's one quote that really stuck with me throughout this entire weekend that I think is worth talking about, and that's a quote from Sam Kennedy. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break down this quote, why it was said, what it possibly means. We're going to talk about why it upset fans, and we're also going to be trying to ultimately decide what caring actually means for this Red Sox ownership. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Some of you guys may already know the exact quote we're talking about in this video. It circled a pretty good amount on Red Sox Twitter, and to be honest with you, I'm so sick about this Red Sox ownership group, but right now, they're putting themselves in the spotlight. Sam Kennedy this weekend did a really great job of being open and talking to as many people as possible. He talked to all of the press, he talked to the fans themselves, he talked on Nesson, and he talked on WEEI, but what we're focusing on is a quote he had from his time on WEEI, where he got a little bit defensive about this Red Sox ownership group. When asked whether or not he still cares about winning, he said, quote, "If you think for 1 second that we aren't passionate, committed, dedicated to the Boston Red Sox, you're wrong, you're a liar, and I'll correct you on it because it's total BS," unquote. First of all, this is kind of a ridiculous business model, right? Red Sox fans are pretty much just saying, hey, guys, do you still care about winning in this organization? And your response is to just flat out call them a liar after everything you've done this offseason. That's ridiculous. Imagine if the owner of McDonald's gave the Big Mac recipe to Burger King, traded their McNuggets to Wendy's for their chicken fries or whatever, and then says to everyone, hey, no, we got rid of those to make room for better items, and does absolutely nothing. If you were a customer of McDonald's, you'd be like, hey, what's going on here, right? And then the guy comes out and he says, whoa, wait a second. We never said that. You're a liar. You don't understand what we're doing here. That'd be an absurd business model. And that's essentially what the Red Sox are doing right now. Fans, in my opinion, have every right to say, hey, guys, do you still care about winning in this organization? Is this still something you're prioritizing, especially after the offseason that the Red Sox have had, right? You go into the offseason, you fire Chaim Bloom, you sit up there, you talk about, hey, we need to get back to winning championships. We need to get back to winning every single year. We need to go full throttle. We need to get these high war players to all of a sudden turning it around and saying, hey, wait a second, we're trying to build something here. And if it takes a couple of crappy years, that's what it's going to take. We're not going to spend until we believe that this team is ready to win, and we're not going to fully commit until we believe that all the pieces are there. That's a big turnaround. That's a full 180, and it's natural for fans to say, well, wait a second, if you go from this to that, what is the evidence that you still care about winning baseball games year in and year out, right? It's a genuine question. I think answering it by saying, hey, you're a liar and it's total BS isn't exactly the most elegant way to respond to the question. And because they're telling us, hey, don't question us, we do care, that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. We're going to question whether or not the Red Sox still care about winning baseball games, specifically the ownership, because the players clearly care about winning, and honestly, they really gave me a lot of hope this weekend that they could surprise a lot of people, but we'll be making a video on that on a different day. Today, we are focusing on whether or not the ownership group still cares about this team, and I think that's a really loaded question because I think there are multiple different ways that you could care about owning a franchise. The first way is you can care because you are passionate about the game, the city, the team. I think there's a caring that means that, hey, I am here because I love the Boston Red Sox, because I love the city of Boston, because this team means everything to me and I want to win. There's also caring because you don't want to look bad. You care because you want to be put in the best light possible. And the third reason I think there is to care about a franchise, because winning means profits. Winning teams make more money than losing teams, and that's a reason to care about this club. And to be honest with you, when we're looking at sort of the three faces of this Red Sox organization right now, Sam Kennedy, Tom Werner, and of course the main guy here, John Henry, the problem is they each fall into a separate category based on their actions over both the past couple of years and the past couple of months. You've got Sam Kennedy, who I know a lot of people are really sick of and a lot of people are really turning against, but in my opinion, Sam Kennedy sort of won the lowest rung on this ladder. He's the guy who's basically the liaison between fans and ownership. He's not exactly the one pulling the strings, and yes, he deserves all the criticism he gets because of what he's talked about at the beginning of the season versus what he talked about now, but I don't think there's anything to question whether or not he actually cares about this team, because I think he genuinely does. He is someone who not only grew up in the area watching this team, but has worked his way up through this team. He didn't start by owning this team or being the CEO of this team. He worked his way through the entirety of this organization to get to where he is in present day, and I think that says a lot about what he thinks of this organization. I think he's really proud to be working for the Boston Red Sox, so I think he falls into the first category, which is he cares because he's passionate about this team and he's passionate about this city. Now, that doesn't mean he didn't screw up, or that doesn't mean he hasn't made missteps, but I think when we're ultimately looking at the idea of caring about this Red Sox team, Sam Kennedy cares because he loves it. The second person on this list is Tom Werner, right? He's sort of the middle rung here. He has some say, but he's not the big main shareholder, and I think he falls into the second category. I think he falls into the category of I care because I care about what the public thinks in terms of the perspective of the ownership group. That's why you heard the quotes at the beginning of the offseason from Tom Werner where he said, we need to go full throttle. We need to get high war players in here if we want to be competitive year in and year out. Why would he say these things if he didn't actually mean it? Well, it's because it's exactly what we wanted to hear. It's exactly what we needed to hear going into an offseason that was supposed to look entirely different than the last couple of off seasons. He said those words because that's what we wanted to hear. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't care about the Red Sox, but what he cares about in terms of the Red Sox is how the ownership group looks owning the Red Sox, and I think that's a big reason why those quotes were initially made, and in my opinion, that's why Tom Werner is the one going to Winter Weekend, making the statements that he did, selling the Fenway experience, because he's trying to say, hey, look, this ownership group is a good group of people. We're not the bad guys here, and that's probably also the reason why a lot of what he said over Winter Weekend was, hey, we're trusting Craig Breslow. This is on Craig Breslow. He's pushing the narrative away from ownership group and on to Craig Breslow, and I think that indicates that I'm not here because I'm passionate about this team, because I love this team, because this is my life. I'm here because we need to look better and we need to be the good guys in this situation, basically. And I think that's sort of the category Tom Werner falls into. And I think the final category here, the last one on this list, and unfortunately, in my opinion, right now, the outlook of the main shareholder in FSG, John Henry, is I care because winning equals profits. Now, for a while, this wasn't necessarily a bad thing because they did win. They won a lot. They won more than any other team in the past 24 years. They were the team to win 4 championships since 2000, the most of any team in Major League Baseball. For a while, that idea of I'm owning this team not because I'm passionate about the sport, not because I'm passionate about Boston or the Red Sox, but because I want to win and make a crap ton of money, was sort of the middle ground for everyone, because you won championships and you still made your money. But now this could be a bit of a dangerous look for Red Sox fans, because when you're looking at it from John Henry's point of view, you're trying to figure out how to win and still make profits, which means you're looking at the models of these Houston Astros, these Atlanta Braves, these Tampa Bay Rays, where you sucked for years and years and years to build up a young, cost-controlled core that allows you to win games. Now, this ultimately might be the best idea possible, and the Red Sox could end up being a consistent winner for years and years to come. But that also means that for the time being, that he's going to be perfectly okay with eating years and years and years, especially with Fenway Park being the experience that it is, because Tom Werner isn't wrong, right? It is an experience to go to Fenway Park, and they're still going to sell tickets despite the fact that Red Sox fans aren't happy. And I'm still going to go to Fenway Park because, to be honest with you, that's my happy place. But that's exactly what John Henry's banking on, and it allows him to be able to eat years and years and years, or 3 or 4 years of being last place teams or being non-competitive teams, because it could mean in the long run you are going to get a cost-controlled winning organization, which would be good for fans, but it would also be extremely good for John Henry because you get a lot of profit with not a lot of expenses, and that's exactly what he cares about right now. Now, all of this is just sort of my opinion. This isn't solidified fact. They didn't outright come out and say Sam Kennedy cares because he cares. Tom Werner cares because of his public image, and John Henry cares because, hey, he wants to make a crap load of money. They can't come out and say that. I'm just going off of what has been said over the past couple of months versus what has been said over the past couple of years versus what has been said over the last 20 or so years where this ownership group owns this team. These are just assumptions based on what has transpired over the last few months, and I think there's perfectly okay to completely disagree with this. But again, when you ask me, hey, Corbin, do the Red Sox ownership still care? This is sort of my answer, because it's a loaded question overall. There's a lot of different ways an ownership group of a sporting team can care about its franchise, and I think ideally, if you were looking at it from best case scenario, you'd want these to be flipped a little bit. Tom Werner, fine, whatever, you could stay there, but ideally, you'd want John Henry, the main owner of this team, to be the guy who's the passionate fan who grew up in the area or who has a sentimental attachment to the Boston Red Sox. It doesn't care so much about profits, but cares so much about the winning aspect of this game, whereas Sam Kennedy, who's the CEO of this company, who's the guy who's in charge of making sure it runs correctly, is the one who's focused on how do we make this profitable, how do we look at this from a business side of things, because then what you're getting is an ownership who's going to continue to push and push and push, and a CEO who's going to keep it in check and still make sure you're not spending unwisely or anything like that. That's ideally how you'd like a business to run, and unfortunately, in my opinion, it's the exact opposite. I think Sam Kennedy really cares about this team, but he can only do so much. John Henry's the one who's ultimately signing these checks, who's ultimately making the decision of this group to spend this money, and he's not the one who's passionate about this team. And so when you're looking at it from Sam Kennedy's point of view, yeah, there's a reason he's getting defensive, because he's saying, yeah, of course they still care. Of course I still care about this team, but there's multiple levels to the idea of caring, and I think that's the problem Red Sox fans have right now. You can care, but there's multiple ways that you can care, and I think that's a big issue at this moment. But that's just my opinion, right? It's all just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? Do you think the Red Sox still care about this organization? In which way do you think the Red Sox still care? And do you think it's a valid question to ask looking at the last couple of months of this offseason? Let me know all your thoughts on Sam Kennedy's quote in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Also, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys want to talk about? I'm a little bit sick and tired of talking about how messed up this Red Sox ownership group is over the past couple of months. Is there anything baseball related, or do you guys want to talk about this more? Let me know what you want to see on this channel in the next couple of weeks in the comment section down below. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.